The future is coming fast. Greensill is already there, changing finance to change the world, unlocking capital so you can put it to work, financing supply chains around the world for businesses large and small. From the speed of sound to the speed of light, from the man of steel to the man of the hour.
A great journey.
Greensill provides. Greensill is first. Greensill looks at things differently, seeking answers to questions others find impossible to answer. Greensill, changing finance to change the world.
I'm Sarah Gomez and I'm the Chief People Officer. You're here to build something and we're really changing the world. We're making finance fairer and that's a really wonderful thing to be part of. It's really important that all the operational HR works really smoothly. We need to make sure we can pay people on time, we have contracts, we have people policies, all of that's really vital. We're here to help the business grow. My one fear is that people say HR told me to do that. So it's kind of, that's what I don't want. So what I want is that people see us for the expertise we bring to the table, for the real deep intent we have in helping make the business successful through its people. We join because it's so rare to get the opportunity to build something from nothing. Because we haven't got legacy that's already in place, we can do things that actually most of us wanted to do but never had the opportunity, and that's what's unique. So it's trying to take a much more business-oriented approach to it rather than a traditional HR type response. So what makes me excited to come to work every day is the challenge, is the knowledge that we're really building something great. The one piece of advice I'd give to new starters is just be ready to start straight away, be ready to get up to speed. But there are so many people around you to help with that, and we're a family. So seek help, talk to people, and get up to speed fast. I'm done.
We are challenging the status quo. We spot opportunities in the market and we try to think of really new ways of addressing, sometimes an old, sometimes a new problem.
The average company in Europe waits 60 days for their money. And we at Greensill help those companies to get the money in their pockets when they need it.
There are no limits of what you can do here.
We have exceptionally exciting vision.
Using technology to fairly deliver capital to those who need it.
I'm excited to come to work every day because we actually make finance fairer.
We have now built a business that supports millions of small companies in over 150 countries.
Really making a difference for people's lives.
We can do things that actually most of us wanted to do but never had the opportunity, and that's what's unique.
You actually get the opportunity to become the best of yourself and to deliver whatever you want to deliver.
We're a very flat structure.
Everybody here is an owner of our business.
Everybody's approachable.
We're really building something great.
It is the real world that we're helping every day.
It's an exciting team to work in.
This is a very, very fast-paced environment. A lot is happening. There's a lot that you can take on.
Every day you come in, there will be new opportunities for you to prove the kind of person that you are and how you can contribute towards that team.
We've carefully selected people to join the team who've got a wide range of experiences.
Extraordinary people like you.
So what I want is that people see us for the expertise we bring to the table.
Everybody's smart, determined, and shares the same sense of can-do.
Professional, enthusiastic, happy to roll up your sleeves.
Act like an owner, make decisions as an owner.
And that's the interesting part of working at Greensill. You always work with different teams to ultimately come with something brilliant.
We are evolving quickly.
People need to be passionate about what we do.
The impact we're having is changing the lives of millions of consumers for the better.
You're here to build something. We're making finance fairer, and that's a really wonderful thing to be part of.
Imagine a world where every job you finished was paid on time. Feels good, doesn't it? Now imagine a world where every job you finished was paid early. Imagine the possibilities. More than $55 trillion of working capital is locked up in unpaid invoices and inventories at any one time. Greensill unlocks working capital so you can put it to work. Greensill Working Capital Finance gives all suppliers, from the smallest SME to the largest multinational, equal access to capital. Greensill uses the power of capital markets, a meticulous eye for detail, and the latest technology to give your business access to finance at ultra-low rates. And all at the click of a mouse. Working capital finance is easy. Greensill uses your customer's credit rating to pay your invoices early. Then we turn those invoices into bonds, creating opportunities for investors all over the world in our groundbreaking supply chain finance funds. Unlocking billions of dollars of capital for businesses everywhere, every day. Imagine the possibilities. Greensill is changing finance to change the world.
Nothing works without working capital. Whether you're growing, innovating, or navigating a crisis, the steady flow of capital is what keeps businesses stable and suppliers happy. So when your working capital gets stuck, so do you. Invoices get juggled, payments get pushed, suppliers get flustered. Without working capital, making ends meet is a constant stretch. But with supply chain finance from Greensill, you get to keep your capital in play and pay your suppliers early. You get to look after your business and theirs. Stretch your capital, not your suppliers. Discover more at Greensill.
Greensill was founded as we believed and realized that finance had to become fairer. We address a structural inequality relating to providing cash and liquidity in supply chains. We do this both for companies and for individuals, for the largest companies to the smallest SMEs, and as I said, even for employees. The current system is actually of credit is quite cumbersome, it is outdated, and most importantly, it is too expensive. The friction this is costing economies is massive, and we are talking serious percentages of unnecessary costs that sit in supply chains because of the finances to those SMEs is simply too high. So is that a real problem? And I would say yes, it is. It creates a gap between the haves and the haves not. Moody's recently stated that there is over 50 trillion of working capital locked up. And what does that mean? It's actually money that is owed for services and goods that has already been provided, but simply hasn't been paid yet. And we all know, if you are dealing with large companies or governments, they ultimately pay, but it can take ages before they do so. And that money has to be financed by someone, and currently that is done in a way too inefficient way. And last year alone in the UK, around 55,000 SMEs went out of business because of cash flow issues. Not because their business model wasn't working, but because they simply could not make the ends meet because they were waiting for delayed payments, whilst in the meantime, they had to pay their staff, they had to pay other costs, and they simply went under. That is something we are addressing. So how do we do this? And one of the decisions we made very early on, this is such a massive, big opportunity and problem that we need to use the most modern technologies. So we are a very much AI, machine learning driven company. We use an awful lot of data to actually pinpoint the most friction in those supply chains and inject the liquidity into those businesses, into employees' pockets, and even we do this for governments. Is this unique? I would say yes, it is. Most of us have worked at banks, and even though I don't want to make everything black and white, but what we are really trying to do is actually look forward. We are looking for cash flows where we feel very confident about that they will get paid ultimately. And once we find them, we finance them, pay them to the party that wants to receive early. So we in effect are decoupling a receiving moment of an employee, of an SME, of a supplier, and the payment moment of the ultimate buyer. By using an awful lot of data and AI and other digitizing technologies, we are able to provide finance to over 10 million customers. We do this to end users of mobile phones in countries where normally those people would not have access to internet, enabling them to start their own business. We do this to the largest companies of the world. We do this to small SMEs. And by using data, we are able to penetrate very deep into supply chains. And that has actually resulted in, by offering those services to now over 10 million customers, and we have grown 40% in just the last 12 months, we start to see that all those supply chains do overlap. And that has resulted in even more benefits. We see what we call our network effect. We are almost able to make a weather forecast of the economic climate. We see things coming. And our AI was already picking up signals last February, by the time nobody really was talking about COVID, at least not in the way we are doing today, that we saw already stress appearing in our networks. And at that time, we actually were puzzled and we could not understand what was happening. We even thought maybe the algorithms were wrong, but actually that were the initial signs of the stress that COVID is causing. So is what we do scalable and robust? I think the answer is absolutely yes. Last year alone, we financed over a shiver under $150 billion, all money that goes into small businesses, employees' pockets for faster and early payments at extreme low rates. So what we try to do here is I would almost call it a great reset. We are now reaching a skill and a deepness into supply chains that we really can make a change in this world. To give an example, again, in the UK, this one, we have now such a good insight in how pharmacies are being run, what drugs they are prescribing, that we actually can extremely accurate forecast which drugs they will be providing next month. And then you say, fine, who cares? Actually, many pharmacists are having to pay an awful lot of extra money if they want to have payment terms on the medicines they procure from pharmacy companies and distributors. We are effectively knowing what they will sell next month. And based on that, we are providing the liquidity for their December purchases already in November. And then again, you might say, so what? But that is a saving to the NHS world of about £200 million a year. And that is enabled by technology. So what do we need from you guys on this Zoom call? If you are a corporate and you want to look into, is there a better cost-effective way to provide liquidity within your supply chain? Please contact us. If you are an employer looking to lower the stress on workers who are having trouble by only getting paid once a month, please come to us. If you are an investor, which means if you have ample liquidity available and you would like your money to work in supply chains in a more fair way, also please contact us.
Now, staff in the NHS are facing unprecedented pressure in coming weeks and months as COVID-19 cases increase and peak. The likes of Pret and Leon are offering 50% discounts to all health service workers during the crisis. But many other nurses and other frontline staff currently wait weeks to be paid by NHS Trust. Well, now new technology means that they could be paid daily for shifts that they work. The company behind the payment platform says it will provide it free to the National Health Service. That company is Greensill, and its founder, Lex Greensill, joins me now live from central London. Lex, welcome to you. You are obviously better known for supply chain financing. What made you move in this direction?
Well, as we've talked about on a number of occasions, Ian, we've built our business serving now more than 2 million customers in over 175 countries to deliver ultra-cheap credit to businesses. What we've seen, though, of course, is with the arrival of COVID-19, there is a need to help those frontline staff, the nurses, the janitors, porters, doctors, in our National Health Service who are protecting our country. We saw something, I think, remarkable in the sense that businesses are all wanting to contribute and to help. Yesterday, Pret said that every NHS employee will be able to get a free cup of tea. Well, our business is one where we pay people and businesses faster. And recently, we launched an app called Earned, which allows employees to get paid every day if they wish, instead of waiting to the end of the month. And what I'm delighted to be able to announce today is that we're working with more than half a dozen national health trusts across our country to ensure that frontline staff are able to get paid every day, and they're able to get paid every day completely for free, both free for employees and for the National Health Service. In a way, Ian, it's our free cup of tea.
What about the fact that, what about your core service right now? Presumably there are a lot of demands on supply chain financing right now, given the current constraints on cash flows for a lot of businesses.
Absolutely. We've seen demand triple in the last 2 weeks, and so we see our role as being absolutely critical, and indeed we welcome the moves from the Bank of England and the other central banks to ensure that not only banks but actually companies have access to credit, and we're very excited about the role that we can play in ensuring that cash is in the hands of every business and now every worker.
Lex, you mentioned there the Bank of England. They've obviously got their COVID corporate financing facility. Does that represent competition for you in any way, or is it complementary?
Absolutely, we welcome it. Look, in times like this, the central bank has an important place and role to play, and the CCFF is in fact a great tool. It is going to help many of the FTSE 100 companies to be able to access credit that otherwise wouldn't be available to them with the capital markets closed. The challenge is that that doesn't help small businesses, and so we are keen to work with the central bank, as we did almost a decade ago in the financial crisis, to ensure that small businesses can have access to those same tools through our technology.
Lex, you've obviously worked in and around markets all your career. Are you relatively confident that this isn't going to mutate into a credit crisis of the kind that we saw in 2008?
Look, it's a very real possibility, and that's why I think it's so important that we're seeing strong fiscal intervention to support. Admittedly, much of that is being delivered through central banks. There's clearly going to be some cleaning up, though, to do on the other side of this pandemic. But for now, the focus needs to be on ensuring that businesses have got the cash to be able to keep on with their staff, supporting the economy and doing their bit.
All right, Lex Greensill, very good to see you. Thanks for sparing the time to speak to me. Now, the pandemic has placed extra strain on businesses in terms of how they manage their cash flow. One popular way of doing this in recent years increasingly has been to use what's called supply chain finance, where a business essentially borrows money in order to pay their suppliers. Greensill Capital has achieved unicorn status, a tech company of more than $1 billion valuation from the activity. Its founder and CEO, Lex Greensill, joins me now. Lex, welcome to you. Now, when we last spoke, it was just before the lockdown. How have things been since then?
Well, good morning, Ian. Certainly, it's been an interesting time. Switched from all of our staff working in offices dotted across the UK and around the world to everybody working from home. Certainly, the economic news has been grim, but fortunately for our business, we have been able to plot a course that's enabled us to continue to support businesses because of the fact that obviously we're a fintech, and we've seen growth so far this year of over 115% year to date. So far, COVID-19 has been an opportunity for us to support real businesses in the real economy, and that's a real privilege and something we're very proud of.
You've just won accreditation to take part in the CL Bills scheme. How has take-up been there?
Yes, we've only just been accredited last week, so it's early days, but we certainly see that as a fantastic piece of support from the British Business Bank. CL Bills will enable us to help medium and large-sized British businesses and their supply chains, and certainly we're particularly proud to be the first fintech to have been accredited under the scheme. And we think, as a fintech, that will enable us to deliver credit where it's needed even faster.
Now, obviously, we're going to see company collapses over coming months. We've already seen a few. Are you having clients who are struggling to pay you yet?
So far, we've been doing fine. Obviously, we're monitoring the situation carefully. I think one of the things that not everybody has realised is in many sectors over the past few months, we've seen inventories come down, and those are now having to be replaced as the economy ramps back up. That not only kind of puts sort of physical supply chain pressures on, but through what's known as the bullwhip effect, we'll actually see financial pressures because the amount of working capital required in businesses is going to go back up as volumes and activities increase. And in many respects, that's the time of greatest risk. So in a sense, the support of the CL Bills program is particularly timely. And we think, kind of as I said before, as a British fintech, we're uniquely placed to make sure that we can deliver that capital on time, exactly as it's needed, as demand and activity is returning to what hopefully is going to be the historical levels. And certainly we are seeing a few green shoots in the economy that gives us hope, because of course manufacturing activity is in many respects been stalled, and those inventories now need to be filled. So I think we'll actually see quite strong activity in the next couple of months as those backlogs are filled.
Now, Alex, there was a story in the Financial Times yesterday concerning your company. It said that SoftBank, which is one of your investors, has been buying debt in businesses supported by investment funds where you select the assets. Is there a conflict of interest there?
Well, that's certainly for SoftBank and Credit Suisse to comment on. I think the macro point is that we've seen growing and continued demand from investors. We have more than 100 investors around the world that work with us. We're the largest bond issuer in Europe. But I think what investors are telling us, and I think this is a really important point to acknowledge, is that we're in a world where interest rates and effectively therefore yields are going to be lower for longer. And in that environment where the yield curve's basically flat and folks that have previously perhaps bought bonds of a longer term now face risk that their bonds will be worth less as at some point in the future rates will rise. And so given this lower for longer environment, we're seeing that more and more investors are saying, I want to invest in the real economy. And of course, as a British fintech, we've been able to give access to those investors to the real economy, and indeed for us to support real businesses, not only the length and breadth of Britain, but around the world.
Now, when we last spoke, you were about to launch a new system under which NHS employees could access their pay early if they required to. What sort of take-up have you had from NHS trusts?
Yeah, great. The pilot's going fantastically well. The feedback from NHS employees has been tremendous. You know, they tell us that it's a great source of comfort. They're less anxious. They feel more in control of their financial position. The fact that they can now get paid every day as opposed to once a month at no cost to them or the National Health Service. And so we're piloting and implementing at the moment in 7 trusts, and we're very hopeful that it will be widely available across the National Health Service later on this year. And I think it's going to change the way that employees, not only in the National Health Service, but actually I think in the private sector as well, think about the way that they get paid. And I think more companies and employers around the country are going to be thinking more carefully about how they can support employees in a post-COVID world as we all return to work.
All right, Lex Greensill, good to talk to you again. Thanks for joining me.